Hi, I'm part of the Spaniard faction, and I play the role of de Alvarado. Pedro de Alvarado was born in Extremadura, Spain, a region then known for its poverty and harsh climate. It was the difficulty of life in Extremadura that drove many of its men to seek their fortunes in the New World, with Alvarado being one of them. Alvarado arrived on the island of Hispaniola along with his father, a nobleman, and his four brothers in 1510. And then 9 years later, he served as commander of one of the 11 ships that set sail with Hernan Cortez for the coast of Mexico. Alvarado and his four brothers wielded a good deal of power among the Spanish population of Hispaniola, and they were known to be loyal supporters of Cortez, notably in his conflict with the governor of Cuba, Diego Velazquez. Alvarado was known for cruelty and a willingness to take human life, and while he was not content with his adventure in Mexico, he would go on to lead expeditions in Central America, which ultimately led him to northern Peru, where he left behind a legacy of greed and violence. I wanted to speak more onto the character profile that I have created for him. So some of his basic personality traits is that he has very poor communication skills, as he does not speak to everyone fairly, as he believes that he's superior to all others except for Hernan Cortez, of course. He's extremely loyal to Cortez and will always follow and support him. He's very ruthless and murderous, so he doesn't have much patience and empathy. He knows much about other people and their motivations, because many of the people that he encounters are after the same thing as he is. So that helps him persuade people to do things. But if he's unable to persuade them, he'll definitely use violence to achieve what he wants. His ideals, what motivates him, is his humble beginnings. Where when he was growing up in Extremadura, he faced extreme living conditions, and he was constantly surrounded by poverty. And so he aims to obtain a better life. He wants the fortune of the New World, to possess a life that he was not granted when he was born. However, what holds him back is his temper. If he were to be a bit more cool-headed and thought out things rationally, he would be able to make smarter decisions. But he's very prone to violence, so he solves a lot of the problem with his fist instead of his mind. And if he were to do the opposite of solving with his mind, he would be able to put himself in a better position for a life of prosperity and tranquility. So the backstory that I wrote for Pedro de Alvarado is that he was born in Extremadura, Spain, where the sun was hot, the air was dry, and the people killed each other just for a piece of bread. He didn't have it easy growing up. Every day was a struggle to stay alive, and he fought and scrapped for everything he had. But when he moved to Hispaniola and Cortez came around, an opportunity for him to obtain more came about. There was news about the New World, and people were scrambling to find ships to explore the territory, as the New World promised a life full of riches and glory. Yet Alvarado met Cortez, and by being a valiant supporter and loyalist of his, he was able to become a commander of one of the 11 ships that Cortez was taking to the coast of Mexico. During the voyage, he learned a lot about how to control the people he has dominance over, and he learned to be very aggressive and cruel to his crew to assert his dominance over them. He believed that even though they might not respect him, they fear him, which is enough for them to not revolt against him and to keep in line with him. In the first stop of at the coast of Mexico, Alvarado was very successful in his campaign against the Aztecs, and even though he didn't see the Aztecs as much, he used his ways of violence and cruelty to obtain what he wants. And then, even though he left the campaign against the Aztecs very unsatisfied and unsatiated, so he decided to go on and explore and fill his need for adventure by exploring Central and Southern America.